Hello, everyone. President Sunday here. I am so sorry that this has been posted like 3 times. StreamYard was just being ridiculous, and every single time I tried to make an edit, it seemed to make the thing disappear. I don't know what's going on, but we're on now. So I'm joined by Shruggie, and we are going to be playing some Halo 2 and maybe talking a little bit about the absolute bloodbath that just transpired. But hopefully not too much.
A nice cathartic medium of shooting aliens.
Of shooting heretics, specifically. So,
yes.
Shruggie, have you added me yet?
I'm frantically trying to figure this out for the first time. Okay.
Oh.
Back. Campaigns.
You add me first. Add me to your party, and then you go to campaign.
Okay. Apologies for this.
Insubordination. Sabotage. Slander.
I'm trying, my dudes. I am just new to this. Okay. Click over here.
God, I hate
So why don't you... Okay, so while I'm trying to do this, watch my multitasking brain at work. Okay, so I listened to about half an hour of it. I caught some at the beginning when it was still not crazy, and then a little bit when it was absolutely frenetic at the end. And I missed some in the middle. Do you feel like giving like a brief summary or something like that, or...
I mean, how do you even give a brief summary without just trying to imitate machine noises? That was ridiculous. This is why it's important.
I want to hear the machine noises, like which...
like that. This is why it's important to... So I apologize to people who had to hear that with earphones. This is why it's important to have a moderator that actually moderates. The problem here was that, I mean, there were several problems. One of them was that people weren't... There was no force deployed to actually make sure that people... A, didn't interrupt others, and B, were not interrupted. So what I suggested about like a few minutes in was like, look, you have a mute button. You're running the Hangouts thing. Mute everybody else who's not talking in turn. Very simple. Then everybody can talk. And I wouldn't care if she did it to me first. But because it was nobody, like, for God's sake, Hera was making guttural noises for a large part of the stream. Like, what was that? It's like, come on, this was super sensitive. It needed to be clear. It needed to be focused. It needed to be compartmentalized. And as soon as Clausington started talking and there was no moderation, it's like he would have filled the air forever. I criticized Vosh for yelling in stream, but like I'm coming around, honestly, because if there's not somebody else holding people to some standard of behavior, I would have never gotten a word in. As it happened, I ended up getting more words in. Thank God I have this voice. But it was just, oh my God, my blood pressure is just through the roof after that. That was infuriating.
So it sounds like I missed somebody making guttural noises, but like not in the course of action, right? It's not like somebody was.
And I mean, Hera had some good things to say, useful things to say later on. And I mean, all credit to her for that. But I mean, for most of it, it was just giggling. It was just self-indulgent acting out. It was so dumb. Like, what's the point? I don't even know why she was there. It was weird that the host didn't even seem to know like what server this was on or what this was about. It was
I'll try not to be that guy.
Oh no, you're fine.
I think I've invited you like a bajillion times.
Oh, did you? Hang on. Oh, okay, you did. I'm so sorry. And everybody can see that I've just been ignoring you. All right. Are we in? Brilliant. Okay.
You good?
We are excellent.
Okay, there we go.
Until this thing becomes a lag fest, we'll see.
All right, I'm turning off the thunderstorm. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I had the thunderstorm skull on just because I like pain. I don't know. I don't actually like pain.
Turn off StreamYard.
I like challenge. That's what I like.
Shruggie.
That's a better way to put it. Yeah.
Shruggie. Yeah. I love this Wizard of Oz thing you've got going, but go onto StreamYard and mute yourself. Oh no, don't mute yourself on StreamYard. Sorry, mute yourself on hang on.
Tell me where to mute myself.
Oh, I see what's happening. Okay, sorry. I'm hearing you double. Got it. Okay, so StreamYard's not hearing you double at all. It's just me. All right, I think you're fine. Let me just check the chat quickly and see if it's a problem for them. Just because how we're doing this is really low tech. So Shruggie doesn't want to have to listen to the game that I'm playing over StreamYard while he's playing. So we had a brilliant strategy. What we're going to do is I'm going to listen to him over StreamYard. He's going to mute StreamYard and talk to me over TeamSpeak. So just let me know if this is bothering you guys, if you can actually sort of hear us clearly, or if there is echo on your end. I'm hearing echo on my end, but I can live with that. What matters is that you guys can kind of hear it. So let me know. No
right,
echo?
I'm going to mute StreamYard, so I'm not going to hear anything until you hear me in game.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, great.
Hope this works. Okay.
Okay, actually, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to turn off TeamSpeak. Wait, then you can't hear me.
Wait, if you turn off TeamSpeak.
No, hang on. No. Voice chat volume. I just turned that down, and then you can you still hear me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, brilliant. So we're good. Great. Problem solved. Okay.
Okay, but am I still going to hear your game this way?
You shouldn't, because you're hearing me over TeamSpeak, not over StreamYard, right?
But you just turned off TeamSpeak.
No. I muted TeamSpeak. No. Hang on. I muted voice on my end. You can still do TeamSpeak. I'm listening to you over StreamYard, and you're listening to me over TeamSpeak.
Okay, I understand. Okay. So I'm going to mute you over StreamYard, and I'm not going to mute you in TeamSpeak. Okay.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, mute.
Can you hear me? Hello? All right. I don't know what's happened, but Shruggie can't hear me. Or I can't hear Shruggie. One of those. Shruggie, if you can hear me, undo whatever you did.
I muted StreamYard.
Is TeamSpeak on passively?
Let me check. It's loading. Sorry for this low-tier logistic. No, we're going to have fun figuring out the logistics, and you guys are going to join us on this adventure of figuring out how to do multiple streaming platforms at once.
This is an educational program.
Yes.
Okay, so forgive the eating noises. Shruggie.
Yo. Oh, I just skipped this cutscene. Are we good? Can you hear me?
No. I'm the blade.
Okay. Okay, I can still hear your game though, so it's like echoey.
Okay. Turn it down, I guess. When I get my new microphone that has an earphone jack, and that will solve all of our problems.
Okay, I'm gonna just turn your mixer down.
Here. Maybe I can turn the volume down on my end and that will work.
Oh, that would work, but then you wouldn't have volume.
But would that affect the stream? It might actually. It might actually bring screen capture.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Okay.
I want to see the comment for this. People are like, "You guys suck."
We want our money back.
Is anybody? I don't see anyone in the live chat, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna turn yours down, and I'll live with the consequences.
All right. So where are you? Oh, are you already inside?
No, I'm like way back because I'm like adjusting audio settings.
Oh, I see.
Guys, we're gonna be so good at this in the future. Just you wait.
Yeah, just give us a few months of doing this over and over again. Good God.
All right.
Well,
okay, so right now we're
good run. My channel's over now, but
your channel's over. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that was
after this fiasco.
Oh.
I'm referring to the Halo stream clearly. Oh, there you are.
What do you think? Do you think there are any grave consequences of your live stream here? I don't think so. I mean, I don't. So I did miss some of it.
You missed most of it, but you saw enough. I mean, I'm amazed if anybody can actually understand anything that went on. I know with StreamYard, it sort of semi-mutes us when we
Reveal yourselves only after the Arbiter has joined battle with the enemy.
Quiet you. I don't know if anybody can even understand that. I know with StreamYard, it mutes people when somebody else is talking a little bit, so when we're talking over each other, it'll warble. Oh my God, that was so ridiculous.
Well,
what did you? Oh shoot, wrong button.
Oh yeah, this is Halo 2, so we're all gonna die a lot really fast.
Hang on, no. What's the invisibility button? I just killed one of our guys.
X.
X. It's not X for me. No. Why is it
Oh,
not-
you're on a right. You don't have a control.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's the flashlight.
Okay, hang on. I'm plugging in my controller.
I died. Okay, this is Halo 2, so we can't
Absolute
do any of
dishonor.
that stuff we were
Okay.
doing before, where we just run in.
Oh
You'll
my
die
god.
in like a second.
I am so sorry, audience. There we are. Okay, brilliant.
It's okay. We've all learned a lot today. This is, I mean, think about, yeah, like juxtaposed to that stream.
Oh
We're
my
having
god.
a nice time. We're just figuring out some logistics over here, playing a game. Whoa! I just teleported.
This is an accurate representation of that stream.
Ah!
So Shruggie,
Yo,
what do you think of the arguments?
what do I think of the arguments?
Yeah.
Which argument? Sorry,
The
was that a
argument
line that
from
they
the
said in there, and I'm
What's that?
failing for not knowing it?
No. What did you think of the stream?
Oh, that sense of argument. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
a philosopher, so when I hear "what did you think of the argument," I think that there's an argument. But
Okay, well, I was sort of invoking that meaning.
Oh, okay,
I'm so
okay.
Sorry. I'm so sorry, little man. Okay.
I know. I feel bad. Okay. Well. Oh, we died. Oh, it
I was being a bit-
resets if one person dies. Oh, this is gonna take a while.
Oh my god.
Okay. Oh, I'm dead.
Is it resetting if one person dies?
I think so. I think
No,
so.
I'm still on. I'm not.
Yeah, but-
Oh no.
Okay, so we have to be. We actually
Okay,
have to
hang
both
on.
be good.
Let's turn on the difficulty.
Yeah.
We're gonna be
I
here all
feel
night.
so pathetic. Not doing legendary. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Let's.
but that's not fair though.
Okay.
Now you're getting held down because of me. Oh, what happened? Oh, do we have to do all that? You can't just change it from the menu?
No.
Oh, good lord.
Heroic. Oh, I feel so pathetic. Oh well, whatever. Okay. It's
Arguments.
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 Okay, so I saw a chunk at the beginning and a chunk at the end. At the end, it was mostly just people saying things like, I don't know, you're a bad faith actor. What's the point? What's the point of this anyways? Why can't you let us just talk about what we want in our server?
I think that was Closington. That was just Closington. I think he was by himself. I don't know why he was by himself. It will probably be perceived as being me, Ray, and Hera steamrolling him. I was so annoyed by Hera just making noises. It was so frustrating. Oh my god.
So I completely
Go on,
missed the noises. So
Yeah, thank God. So I mean, my intention going into there was like my expectation. I haven't been on a race stream before, but my expectation was that there would be some sort of organization. Let's wait for this cutscene to end.
I could just skip it.
No, leave it.
Yep. Oh, I pressed it right as you said.
Stop ruining everything, Shruggie. Let's get the nicer. Let's get the
Oh,
nicer,
this is the next level.
nicer graphics.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, hang on. There we go. That's better. Let's watch. Oh no, is it going to be? Okay, is it going to be like super laggy if I have these graphics?
I don't think so.
Oh, it seems
Unless
okay.
it's
So far. Okay, we'll play it by ear. I was expecting there to be some kind of moderation, and I mean, Ray seems okay. I don't know her very well. I only really interact with her because of the Chud logic in which she wanted to go on. But she seems nice. I was expecting there to be some kind of moderation, and for Shruggie, where are we?
This is the next level, and we're trying to kill that heretic.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
But I think he just released the flood.
Anyways, I was expecting some kind of moderation, so each of us would have like 2 or so minutes to say a bit, and then we would go forward and say something else. I didn't have any speeches prepared. I didn't know I was going first, so I didn't have like a synopsis of everything that was going on ready to go. So that was a bit sketchy. But as soon as Closington started going on with his accusations, apt or not, I sort of got a hint of what I was going up against. He would have filibustered for the entire stream if he could. I've criticized Vosh for yelling. I've dealt with the Distributus directly before, and he was clearly talking to him in advance. There is no way in hell that I would have gotten a word in. He was immediately going to words. Why are you creeping into our Discords? Why are you recording private conversations? And he would have just continued over and over again saying that. increasing the volume of his voice, and it just would have been a mess. I don't know if I ever would have gotten a word in. Hera made it absolutely impossible to have.
They really don't like you. Like they don't just not like you. They really like talking amongst themselves about how you're like a threat. You're like a threatening person. You're like a danger. Like I don't know. They get their feels like an immune system's been triggered, and you're watching all the antibodies.
Yeah, I want to be. I wish I was nicer to Closington. I wanted to be.
He came across, well, mostly not bad.
Came across what?
Look, I mean, just like his demeanor.
And what? No, but you just said he came across and you kind of trailed off. How do you come across? Oh,
well, I stopped myself because it's like, okay, if I've seen less than half of the stream, I shouldn't be saying how he came across in general.
It was consistent from the beginning.
Okay.
Like I mean, I'll give him credit. The guy can talk. He can fill a void. But without any moderation, oh my god, it was just a nightmare dealing with him. And just like, again, and I want to emphasize this because, I mean, it came across the wrong way in the stream. Closington was the one who brought up the word harass in that video chat, but he's also the one who initially walked back from it. And there are a lot of pressures on him. Like, look, his whole audience, as far as I'm aware, is dissident right, which is, I don't have anything against him for that. But if that prevents you from doing something really basic, like saying, like, in his capacity as someone who has advocated for harassing someone, do you condemn what the distributors did? Couldn't do it. And that's a problem. Like, if Ray came out and said something that I have an absolute moral aversion to or a moral condemnation of, I wouldn't not say it just because Ray gave me views and an audience. It would sting a little bit if I relied on her for views and an audience. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't feel good when you have your videos downvoted and when you have subscribers leave you. But I do it. If I was in this for likes, I would be running like a Fortnite server or something. There's a lot of easy money in that.
Yeah, this is a Halo server.
My videos take a bloody long time to make, crappy as they are. It's exhausting, and I don't get paid for this. I only set up a Patreon this week, and I was really blessed to have 2 people actually start donating right away, which is amazing. I didn't expect anybody to do it. But even then, like, it doesn't offset like the cost of this. This does cost an immense amount of time during which I'm not making money. And I'm not complaining. I do this willingly, but all this to say, I understand. I get where people are coming from when they don't want to stir the pot because, well, I mean, the pot smells really good. They're getting a lot of stuff out of it.
Nice metaphor.
Thank you. I'm the genius lyrical voice of a generation.
Yes.
I hate yelling. I really didn't like that. My blood pressure is still through
Did you have to yell?
Dang. Oh, you must have missed a lot of it then. I was bellowing for a lot of it just because the only way I could get through. Closington just wouldn't stop talking, like just in a continuous stream, like a car salesman. And
so you asked me what I thought of the argument. So, like, could you recapitulate sort of what that was?
Okay, so
I'll remember some of it, but
right. So you could sum up the entire discussion as just, and I apologize again for the eating. I haven't had dinner and I haven't eaten in like 5 hours. You could summarize the entire discussion as just, well, okay, so I posted this recording of a chat from a Discord. And on one side we had, well, the chat shows Closington specifically, but also the distributist, saying that we should, to drive a wedge into LeftTube, we should make some overtures to them and, retweet some of their memes, what have you, go after the Covington kids, some sort of low priority right-wing figure that we both hate, to make them think we're all in the same ship together. And then that established, use our clout with them to humiliate and push out people who cooperate with what they call globo homo. So basically global capitalism. And strategizing to combine the forces of the quote-unquote dissident left and the dissident right is one thing. The main issue I had with it and why I published it was, well, there were three reasons for it. One is that what they were talking about, and this is the minor one, they were talking about, oh my God. Oh, here we go again. I'm so sorry. They were talking, oh, wait. Can I respawn? Oh, I can respawn.
Whoa, really?
I think it might be
legendary. You can't.
It might just be a legendary thing.
Wow, we are just taking the easy route here.
Good to know.
That's why I'm not dead. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
That explains it. Anyways, right. So one is they were actively advocating being disingenuous. This is minor, and they wouldn't have shared it if that was the case. But then after doing that, the next step was to quote unquote humiliate, and then, well, I don't know how many quotes to put around this, and then to harass people like ContraPoints when they go off the reservation. And that's really bad. And then the other thing was they're talking about making overtures to professors and the DSA and things like that. And
what was the point of the harass thing? What
well, the idea is
like, what's even the rationale? What do you gain?
The idea is to drive a wedge in the left so that those who aren't diligent about critiquing global capitalism are basically socially punished for it. And so you can basically weed out those elements of the left that are antithetical to a critique of global capitalism by rallying the dissident right and the dissident left to humiliate them in public. And the word is harass. And that's really the major. That's be quiet, you. I'm talking. That's the major. Oh, who killed me?
I think I just killed you. Sorry.
You.
Oh, there you are. You just hopped up in front of me. All right, we're good.
No thanks to you. And that's really the major issue here. And it's I didn't even want to appear on this stream. I just my only ambition here was just to spread it around so that people who these guys reach out to have a warning. And that's basically it. Like, they're not going to do anything. I very much doubt if they can even succeed in humiliating ContraPoints. These guys are absolutely useless, but they could hurt some people who are lower down in the meantime.
I think there's been a kind of figure ground reversal for me with this sort of reactionary crowd. I feel like, I think I said this the other day, like, you and me are people who, it's like, for some reason, if there's like a group of online people who we are most affiliated with, or like most associated with, somehow it's them, even though, like, I can't, I don't watch any of them anymore. I don't know, like, they're not doing anything good, and they're increasingly doing things that are bad. I don't know what to say. And like,
yeah,
what do they have that commends them? Like I don't even know if they, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm not alienating or, I mean, that's about the most alienating thing you can say is like, I think this is our audience. Yeah, I have nothing good to say about the.
I have no idea what our audience is. Our audience is from all over the place.
Who is our audience? I don't know.
We have
a lot of people ask questions about like reactionary YouTube channels and stuff, and we're always like, yeah, I don't think much of that.
We have a very mixed audience. So we have people on the far right, we have people on the far left, we have a bunch of people in between, we have people who don't know what they are. I actually quite like that. Yeah, that's actually one of the things. I mean, it's a small audience, but I'm actually really pleased that we have actually a genuine spread of people of very different backgrounds and persuasions. That's great.
Well, I'll try to be fair and not lazy. If I'm going to say something critical, I will say I will not. I will try to be, I'll try to make it worth hearing if you're sympathetic, because.
Yeah. What is growling? There's a thing.
Is anyone saying stuff in the chat? Is anybody in the chat?
I've got full screen here, so let me check my phone.
Oh yeah. Don't worry, I'll kill all the aliens.
Not a lot. I think they're just kind of talking. Okay. Oh, are hey guys, how are the graphics doing right now? Is it really low frame rate right now? Because I can change it back. Let me know. How's the video? Do we have a good frame rate? Low frame rate. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna go back to normal. Is that better? Let me know. Are we looking better?
I listen to the soundtrack for this level a lot when I'm just doing stuff. It's just really like eerie and intense and good for working to for some reason.
Yeah. I'm gonna learn OBS over the next few weeks, so we're not dealing with this in future. So sorry, guys. This is StreamYard,
and I'm gonna get a better headset.
I'm not a tech guy, so at any rate, yeah, this is rough. I'm not gonna lie, but 30. Okay, we're in the high range now. 30 FPS. I wonder if there's a difference if you pay for StreamYard if it gets better. But anyways, it was just bad. I felt bad for yelling at Closington afterwards, but by the same token, if I hadn't, like, I don't think I would have just been steamrollered. Again, credit to him. The man can talk. He's not dumb. I mean, not in an intellectual sense. I mean, he has potential. I think the main issue with Closington is that he's in with a bad crowd that is is nourishing him bluntly.
I'm dead.
What's that?
I said, "Ooh, I'm dead." Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who get in and they just, there are a lot of elements in that crowd that I think everybody, like, surely thinks is unsavory. Like, people joke that they have like memes and whatnot that are kind of,
well, I've just been told
they're a little edgy.
People will probably find this amusing. I've just been told that they made an OnlyFans account for me just a few minutes ago.
What's
that?
That's, I mean, like, it's not funny. That's funny. Like, that's my objection.
I suppose they supposedly live in my head rent free, but they haven't stopped talking about me for days, from what I'm told.
But like, what's even there's not even like a pun or a metaphor.
It's he's got a name on a de facto porn page. It's great. I don't care. It's just I'm gonna be honest though. I do find a lot of this kind of funny. Like, I enjoy it. Like, that doesn't hurt my feelings. I actually really like that part. I find that stuff just absolutely hilarious. What I don't like, the only thing I really don't like, oh, that was bad. I haven't played this in forever. The only thing,
I just
the only thing I don't
yesterday.
Like? Do I actually not like any of this?
Huh?
Yeah, okay. I don't like the absolute hatred when you try to engage them positively.
Well,
like, that's what's frustrating. It's like when you're sort of in an open state of war, it's one thing. When somebody like assumes sort of a peaceful posture and just tries to talk to you, I mean, to start just basically ooking like monkeys is beyond the pale. That's ridiculous. It's like, what do you want? What you're saying is that you just want this to go on. I don't want this to go on. This is exhausting. I don't like this. I'm bored by these people. I had other videos I wanted to make. I was going to work on the next part of my nationalism series all day, and instead I had to prep for this. And it's just why? Just why? Don't you guys, like, you've got all of these people pooling all of their energy in towards this. Shruggie, where are we going? Where are you?
I'm in a room that has nothing going for it. I don't know why I'm here.
Are we supposed to be in here? Is there a button?
The door closed. What the heck? I can't get out of here.
Wait, are you trapped? Hang on. Maybe I'm supposed to come through. Maybe it's a one-way.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Bad game design. Let's turn this into a game design stream. No, just kidding. Don't worry.
Okay, what?
I was thinking.
Wait, are both doors closed? Oh, I see. It's pressurizing. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I was thinking this today. There's kind of like if you're studying philosophy or political science or something, there's like a canon. There's like a bunch of stuff you're supposed to read, and this frames the discussion.
Yeah.
If you're just somebody on the internet, there's another canon, so to speak. It's the YouTube people, the YouTube figures. They're the people who like you watch, and like they're the people that you're sort of expected to know if you're talking about these things.
Yeah.
It's sort of like like an alternate canon. And it's they have large followings.
Yeah.
But these are, like, you're not going to fault people for it. Like,
yeah.
That's why it's probably important to engage with them. And that's why it's probably important for me not to just be like, yeah, I don't really like that sort of thing. I mean, that's kind of condescending and not very helpful, is it? But I don't know. I guess I'm just airing sentiment.
Can I talk about something that really frustrated me with that?
Yeah.
So these people seem to be under the impression that my issue with the distributus is that he's a white nationalist. I don't have these kinds of disputes with actual white nationalists. My issue with the distributus isn't that he's a white nationalist. It's that he's a crypto-white nationalist who's extremely dishonest about his positions and will abuse people in the process of, well, I mean, basically, if you are a part of that group, as I was at one point, granted loosely, but if you are part of that group and you air opinions that don't tend towards some essentialist viewpoint with respect to race and IQ or what have you, you will be torched. And they won't explicitly say why unless they think absolutely nobody is listening in. Now, again, as a courtesy, I told the distributus that I recorded the conversation with the last conversation I had with him. I don't actually record conversations very much at all. It's not a thing I like to do. But this was for my own reflection, because in the same way that I had to sort of yell over Closington to get heard, the distributus was yelling over me in that conversation, and it was impossible to get a word in. And I was just taken aback. I hadn't expected this. It was weird. It wasn't the fact that he was expressing white nationalist views. I have fruitful conversations with people like Keith Woods, for God's sake. Not much anymore, because he's kind of gone over to the whole Richard Spencer, Mike Enoch area, and it's sort of just out to sea beyond where I would dare reach. But I can talk to these people. These people are at the very least upfront about what they believe, and they're willing to have a discussion with you. When I started making my nationalism series, some of them shared it. Oh, what happened?
Booted us.
Oh, no.
Well.
You want to go again? May as well.
Sure. I feel like it's not very satisfying to play on heroic. Maybe we should do you want to do combat evolved on legendary, so that I don't know, it's more fun to play while talking.
Yeah, the frame rate might be better too. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
You just set her up. I'll just continue talking, saying my point. Are we cool with, I'm just gonna ask the chat. Chat, are we cool with going to Halo 1? This is awful. I'm so sorry.
Hey, yeah. Join Sunday's Patreon so you can get better hardware.
No. Don't join my Patreon. You need the money more than me. Don't join my Patreon unless you're a millionaire, in which case, unload.
That is not a very good.
No.
Sales.
We are in a global pandemic, my friend, and I'm getting money from the government to stay home. I would very much rather people not spend money on this, unless it doesn't hurt them at all. Unless you actually have money to blow, knock yourself out. I really appreciate it, but otherwise, don't. I'm just putting that there for the future. I don't even have monetization on YouTube yet, so my plan was not to get paid at this stage. That said, thank you very much to the 2 people who did donate. Again, I don't know if they want me to say that they donated, so I won't say their names. You can probably see them on my Patreon page if you're curious. But I am actually going to be upgrading my microphone. I ordered it tonight. I ordered it last night. Good God, I can't remember the time. I can't remember the day anymore. I ordered a Samsung G Pro last night, so that should vastly improve the quality of sound here. And I am getting Discord beep, so I'm going to turn that off. Quiet you. Yeah, there we go. All right, so yeah. Long story short, are you still making noise?
Wait, are you even in this, or is it just me?
I think you need to add me again.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, like I don't have a problem with people being white nationalists. The problem, I do on some level of a problem.
I think
with
I do.
white nationalists.
But no,
I do. Don't get me wrong. I do. Let me rephrase that. I can talk to people who are white nationalists. The problem here is that when people are acting in bad faith, you can't actually talk to them about what they believe because they aren't offering it. They're going sort of from the side, and they'll kind of push you away by alternative means if they can't sort of get you on side without being straight with you. So they sort of probe. They go like, "Well, are you willing to accept X, Y, and Z?" It's like, yeah. Well, maybe you're actually kind of into this. Oh, guess what? We're this. Like, okay, cool. If you're on board with that, that's not me saying that. I don't think it's cool, but
yeah, they sort of look for inductees.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know about that group in particular. I just simply haven't really interacted with.
NRX is kind of a nexus, so it's a bit of a mistake to regard these all as sort of the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
NRX.
That's why I tried to make that disclaimer. Yeah.
Yeah. So NRX isn't Catholic or religious even. It's just sort of a convergence of different people on the quote unquote dissident right, all the way from Catholics who want a monarchy to people who want a white ethno state. I think those people are sort of in the minority as far as that being their sole goal, but I mean, Endeavor skirts the line, definitely.
I just unsubscribed from his channel.
What?
I said I just unsubscribed from his channel. I don't know. He was like doing a live stream.
Oh, right. You were talking about this earlier. Yeah.
He was doing a live stream the other day, and the entire topic was just like there was like some news story where I don't know. Gosh, like it's like I would feel so gross to like recapitulate it to like.
We'll just recapitulate.
Have the topic leave. But okay, like no, there like the entire thing was just like there was some case where I'm gonna botch the details. I don't know. There was a news story that like portrayed it was like an instance of police brutality against a black person, and the entire stream was just like talking about how there are just all these lies out there about how black people are treated unfairly, and it's just like they just kept going and going and going on that, and I kind of just wonder like why? What's the motivation? Like, I don't know. It's pretty late, and I'm not putting myself very well, but like,
no, it's fine.
it's just like all this, like they were talking for like I listened for like a very long amount of time because I started to get curious. Like, are they going to change the subject to something? Like, is this going to go somewhere useful or interesting? But it's kind of just like. I don't know. I kind of felt like saying in the chat, but I didn't.
Here's what I didn't like. You're talking about someone who's died, and the tenor of the conversation was just absolutely callous. That's what I didn't like. There's just something vulturish about it. You know, like I don't tend to do stuff like that, not because, well, A, I'm not a news channel. B, I don't keep on top of this stuff, but mainly, this was somebody who, I don't know the details.
Well, it's just like, what if it's true? Like, how is this something to talk for this long about? Like, what, I don't know. What is the...
Well, can you recapitulate a bit of it for us, Shruggie? Because we actually don't know what this is. And it's
I'm sorry. I didn't really explain it well.
Yeah.
I have to say it's like pretty late where I am, and I'm pretty exhausted. But I don't know. It seemed like there was just a news story where there was some guy in the States, I think, some African American was, I think, sorry. Well, I'm really tired. Basically, yeah, the media portrayed it as though this was an instance of just prejudice. The police are just killing every black person they can find, kind of thing. But then they found some footage later that suggested that maybe this guy was actually the instigator, and it was an act of self-defense. It's like, okay, like, but that seemed to be a launching point for like I don't know, like an hour and a half long discussion about, like, I don't know. It's just like,
I mean, like,
I kind of want to ask these people, like, do you think that there is any way in which there are elements of prejudice towards certain people? Like,
I
is
mean,
this
obviously.
something? Well,
Yeah. I think obviously they think that. Like, I mean, a lot of people do have them themselves. I think the main thing is that, I mean, it's sort of twofold, right? So there are people who not unjustly note that certain people are treated by other certain people with an inordinate amount of generosity on the count of their race, and then other certain people in relation to those in particular with a disproportionate low of generosity. So the white cops, by dint of being white cops, absolutely did this out of racial prejudice and not because the person was acting in a threatening manner. I don't know the details of the case. Here's the thing: like, being reflexive in either direction is just dumb.
yeah,
Human life is really complex. There are a lot of different things that could happen in any given case. There are a lot of different motivations. It could be the case, for instance, that an actually racist cop shoots a black man because the black man happened to be acting extremely threatening, and it wasn't because of his racism. It could also be the case, as does happen for sure, that a very gung-ho cop who isn't thinking very much about the long-term consequences of what he's doing, who is also a racist, shoots a black man when he doesn't need to, because there are a bunch. I don't necessarily think cops generally do this for pleasure, but for whatever reason, he felt fewer compunctions than he should have for doing so, about doing so. And then it could be a non-racist cop and a non-threatening black man in a big misunderstanding. Like, all these things are possible. And like, you do at some level actually do need to wait a little bit to figure things out. Now, that being said, I have seen how police behave in the United States. And I mean, that's very general. The police are different from state to state, from county to county. But I've seen instances of police acting like absolute thugs. To the point where, like, I wouldn't trust them not to do something stupid and shoot somebody innocent, like, just from how they conduct themselves. Like, they're rabidly violent and loud. Not all,
I
but
just wish
enough.
people would actually take the point that, you know, a lot of this stuff is unconscious bias. Like, that's what it is. Like, I know that there are so many talking points that just are like, I just think that's a fact that people need to deal with. Is just that there are ways in which some people are just kind of prejudiced on account of their race. And it's harder for some people than others. And that's just true. And it's true. It's not even people's direct fault. It's like just kind of, things you see recapitulated in media so many times. These things just condition you. And so, yeah, I think that really probably does make some.
But I think it's also crucial too that's not just a thing that applies to white people who have expectations about the behavior of black people when they hear a news story about black people getting shot by police. That also goes towards the police themselves, and it also goes towards how black people respond to police. Because by the same token, when you have a reputation, true or false, of the police being violent, you are less likely to cooperate with the police because you don't trust them to uphold their end of the bargain when you behave compliantly. So, like, it's a mess. There's too many different angles to it. Both sides are largely bunk insofar as they go to, well, generally coming to a reflexive conclusion is a bad idea. We have methodologies for coming to gain knowledge for a reason. It's because doing things sort of from the hip like this is just really unreliable.
And of course, if you're a police officer, you have to make, these from the hip decisions. But it's precisely when you're placed in those kind of high risk situations where those things are going to come into play. So, like, there's no wonder that it's the police in particular who are, eyed with a lot of suspicion. Is because, they're going to be the most prone to these kinds of effects, having to make the kinds of decisions they do so quickly with such little time for deliberation. And then also it's very high stakes. So whatever decisions they make on the fly are ones that involve life and death. So, like,
Yeah, I mean, they're also under high stress. Like, you have the situation where you have police who are trained to view black people as a particular threat because black people trained to view police as a particular threat. And it doesn't obtain
and it perpetuates itself.
But exactly, it obtains enough that both parties are always on edge when they deal with each other. So if people are on edge, well, that means fingers are on triggers, and like,
yeah, what else is going to happen?
Like,
but so I mean, like,
oh, it's me.
At the end of the day, like there is an aspect of injustice to that, right? Like there's something about that which, okay, these people are more likely to like be unfairly treated in a way that could, kill them. Sorry, I'm not being very eloquent.
No. I think that's a fair point. I would also say, like, even back to police too. Like this goes both ways. A lot of people are on this sort of all cops are pigs thing. Policeman is a job. People who go into this grow up seeing it as a heroic vocation. Sometimes people go into it because they got low grades and it seemed like an easy way to get money, given their limited prospects. That's true. Some people are just unimaginative and they don't care. Some people are actually doing it because it was something that they aspired to because they thought it was something noble. And I don't think those people deserve to be animalized generically just because even if a lot of people are doing it really badly. Now, by the same token, there are obviously very serious problems with how police conduct themselves. I'm very pleased in BC today. Now, granted, this is a very unique situation I'm in on Vancouver Island, but I'm very pleased that on Vancouver Island, the police here are actually very humane and gentle with their people. But that's not the case everywhere in Canada either. And Canada has a very dark history of policing too. So, I mean, long story short, like, I don't need to tell you this. I don't need to tell this to you guys, but you've got to use all your faculties and you have to be patient and wait till you have enough information to make a judgment call. Because if you do that in advance, people get hurt really easily, really quickly. There you go.
I just wish we could have a sane conversation about these things, famously, some people kind of go rabid with this. There's probably a lot of people watching your channel are familiar with people who, make videos. They find people.
Oh my God, that's
who are. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's really
like you really don't have to look far to find like crazy protests at like a university or something, where people are just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, like even her in that discussion, I don't have anything against her personally. In fact, I had a discussion. This is what really frustrates me. I had a discussion before a stream with Ray, and she was talking about, well, maybe we should leave her out. I was like, well, what she expected to be in? It's like, yeah, but she hasn't gotten back to me. Well, let her stay in, and you can just kind of, if she gets out of hand, you can deal with her. I don't know what the personal dynamic is between her and Ray, but for whatever reason, she didn't, and. Like it was so ridiculous. Like we were talking, I at one point I got really frustrated and I said, like, look, Closington, you're being really dumb here, or something to that effect. And she objected to the word dumb. That's ableist. It's like, what?
Yeah. Okay. So like
something unwise because the point that out is able. Like it was like, what was the point to that? Who is that saving?
So we probably both come from like, so our we don't. This is like such old game to us. Like this concern about social justice warriors and just like insane, over the top stuff like that.
Yeah.
We grew up on that stuff. That's not news to us. We don't need to argue for that. But there are excesses that I don't know. There are excesses on the other side too, which you got to deal with. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm doing just a terrible job.
No. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Just stop apologizing. You're okay.
I can feel how zonked I am. But yeah.
Oh my God. Tell me about it, man. I am so wiped after that.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
Someone told me that even Closington said he's going off social media for a few days. I don't blame him. That was exhausting. I feel like I was actually wide awake before that started. By the end of it, I just want to collapse. Oh my God, that was so bad. I hate yelling.
Do you want to drive?
I hate it so much. It's not my thing.
I think you need the gun.
What's that? Oh, do I have to get in?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Finally, we're off this awful plane.
you want the gun or the wheel?
I want the gun. Give me the gun.
That's
Okay,
it.
let's roll.
All right. Let's save some Marines. This is an iconic moment.
Okay, we're gonna go kill Seath.
Who?
Nothing. I'm making a Dark Souls joke. You don't know because you don't play games anymore because you're not cool.
I play Halo better than you.
Shut up. You're on my stream. I'll kick you. Okay.
Can't kick me. You're literally hundreds of miles away.
Don't underestimate me. I am the nefarious President Sunday. I can reach my tentacles into all places.
You're gonna have to reach him today.
Again, just about Closington, just to sort of cap off that whole discussion. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he actually probably has a lot of potential. I don't know what I forget what I think he said he was studying engineering. But he is
always studying engineering. No offense to engineers.
I do notice that a lot of them
just a weird trend, isn't there?
Well, I think it's because people who actually study political science would generally be turned off of that whole thing because they would be exposed to things that would show that this doesn't make sense. You have to assume too much to do this, and the stuff that you assume is usually wrong. Oh my god, it's just here's my hot take on engineers. The problem with engineers in political discourse is that engineers have on paper the same is that a master's or a PhD in engineering or some kind of hard science that doesn't actually have to deal with philosophy or basically critical thinking at any level more abstract than the scientific method. And I'm sure that I'm butchering that as well. But the main problem with them is that they have the same credential and it goes to their head in the same way as it does for people in the liberal arts, but they have none of the exposure to the subject matter that they're dealing with when they're going into politics. And so talking to them is impossible, with exceptions. And I will say this, Closington is actually really easy to get along with person to person. We actually had a nice discussion after we stopped the stream before we both decided to end off. And we were talking to each other perfectly amicably. I don't think he wanted to go the route he did either. My suspicion, I don't think he was put up to it per se, but I think he was given advice. And I think he was basically pumped up to view me as, I mean, it's actually related to the thing we were just talking about with cops and people who are afraid of cops. I think he was pumped up to view me as somebody completely irrational and sinister, and as a result, he thought, "Why just have to beat him through force at the outset?" Here's the thing: I was actually getting prepared to have a perfectly conciliatory conversation. I had no energy for a fight. This killed me tonight. I am so tired. My head is splitting right now. So, generally a bad move, but at that point, I don't know if I made the right decision. I had to decide, okay, am I going to let myself just get filibustered this whole thing, or am I going to up the volume a little bit? And I decided to up the volume a little bit because I've had a bad experience with trying to be polite to people who don't play fair. So, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What do you mean, what am I doing?
This Red Elite.
Oh.
Oh, you slippery bastard. Where are you?
Oh, shooting me now.
Ugh. Die. Oh, is he? No, those are already dead.
Well, we did a good job not dying yet. Oh, I spoke too soon, didn't I?
Oh, no, we didn't. I'm dead.
Well, we were doing a great job not dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the well is so poisoned against you. Like,
Well, this is what killed me. Like, I wanted to have.
No, but I've been like booted from their servers just because I am associated with you.
Well, it's like associated with me. You're not even in the same province. We haven't even had streams together at that point. You'd literally just.
Yeah. Literally, I just defended your video a little bit too much. Like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. And like, yeah. And I don't get, again, like, I don't, now I get on one level. Closington was already a regular in Ray's streams. So it kind of made sense that he would be the one to be there. I don't get why they didn't, like, proffer somebody else to go along with him. He's new. He's young. He's not super confident from what I saw. I think he held his own pretty well. But, like, as soon as you broke him from his sort of train of conversation, he was getting a little bit incoherent, just a little bit. Again, he did very well, I think, under pressure, but it was just, oh my god.
Well, there was a point where it was like, look, it doesn't matter. All I need to say is President Sunday is a bad faith actor, and then I don't know. It's just more of that same thing.
Well, again, that's all they had, right? Because what you had was him going on stream. I keep saying stream. Him going onto voice chat, onto a public voice chat, with the distributor saying we need to humiliate LeftTube or BreadTube or what have you. I think he said LeftTube actually, or anybody on the left. We need to humiliate them if they what's the word he used? If they collaborate with global capital, or if they just generally go along with global capital. Humiliate.
Did they actually use the word humiliate?
Distributus did, and then Clossington said. So what you're saying is like if ContraPoints goes onto The Economist or something and doesn't condemn them for X, Y, and Z or something to that effect, harass her for it. And this is where it's important to catch this. And then Clossington goes, or not harass her for it, something else. And then the Distributus jumps in and goes, no, harass is good, harass her for it, or something like that. He went back and said, no, you should harass. That's the word. Clossington walked back on that. He didn't have the spine afterwards to then push and say, guys, we really shouldn't be saying this. Even if just pragmatically to say, if anybody listens to this sounds really bad. He just went along with it because the big man in the house who's basically feeding all of these channels. I mean, bluntly, he's bigger than Endeavor and Clossington and Settlers Lament. And bluntly, he made them because without the Distributus, these guys wouldn't have followings of more than a couple hundred people at most, and that's optimistic.
I love the name Settlers Lament.
Oh, he's awful. He is just so awful. That voice, I can't.
Nice little drive. Sorry.
I cannot stand that fake accent. It drives me so insane.
Yeah, it's just like, well,
today we are going to talk about the folly of Western imperialism or something like that. It's just the overly stressed tease. Ugh.
I just think it's kind of a bad choice of name because, like, I don't know, Settlers Lament, like,
well, I mean, look, he's a
all these
settler
free resources.
You want to say?
Sorry.
I mean, I have my moments too as a settler in Canada, or so the left tells me I need to identify myself. It's just, oh my god, it's just so, yeah. I don't want to rant about him too much. He just has nothing interesting to say.
I just think that the settlers got a pretty good deal. Are they lamenting about something? I don't know. I mean, look, it hasn't been all.
Look,
it hasn't been so great for everyone else either.
Look,
sorry.
Considering everything that's gone on in the past 5 years, maybe he's just a little bit unsettled. You can shoot me. Honestly, if you see me in the street, I want you to do that. I deserve it. What are we shooting at?
I was just shooting.
Oh, wait, you shot me.
You told me to shoot you. Excuse me.
Excuse you. I don't want to talk about Settlers Lament. He's dull.
Joe.
He just has nothing interesting to say. Clossington is more interesting, but not a whole lot to say. And just a function of them being, I mean, I don't want to sound elitist about this, but bluntly, like, this stuff takes time to learn. It's not an age thing. It's not a year thing. It's literally just, have you taken the time to learn this stuff? Because there's a difference. And I'm not top tier at all. I'm like middling at best. That's why when I have professors on, I don't challenge them. I just try to learn from them because I'm not up to their par. So even if I do have a point against them, I would much rather just absorb something. And I'll offer contradictions and I'll push back sometimes, but I'll never debate them. Just again, because like, what is that? Is that you?
Is what me?
On the ledge there.
I don't know.
I don't think that's you. It looked like a Spartan.
I'm behind you.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like there was a Spartan on the ledge, but I might be going crazy here.
Maybe.
It might just be a Marine and I mistook it because of the text.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of Marines up here.
Here, let me check the chat. Let's see if somebody's saying something.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, feel free. We're shooting stuff. We might miss them sometimes. We're both dead tired, but we'll try. Lily Voidtooth says, I'm assuming relative to Settlers Lament, he sounds like a cat trying to be an intellectual. I disagree. I think he's a Persian intellectual trying to sound like a cat. I don't think it's a good one.
Cat, you say? Like the feline animal?
No.
Domesticated.
Like,
I'm so dead.
Like
I hope you saw that.
I didn't see it, so they didn't.
It was the dumbest thing I've done all day.
Like grab Thaw's hammer, you shall be avenged. Okay. That was
Thanks for
terrible.
avenging me.
Oh boy!
Sorry,
I
what did Lily Voidtooth say? I missed it.
I
I mean, I didn't miss it, but
Lily
that's
Voidtooth,
entirely. I've already
Lily
forgotten.
Voidtooth said, he sounds like a cat trying to be an intellectual. Then
Oh yeah.
she said he is lamenting about civilization and modernity.
Civilization. Oh, okay, yeah.
And the
Yeah, we
end,
all got something to lament about with modernity.
and then Noah Watson says, "Is that accent fake?" Yes, it is. If you listen to a stream where he's in, or a vid chat as it happens, here's something I didn't leave in the audio recording. And this is one of the reasons that actually prompted me to initially publish it, because I initially wasn't really going to. I mean, I was that little bit, but I was sort of iffy about it. What kind of pushed me over the edge was minutes later, Closington, Settlers Lament, and a few other guys. I don't know. I think Charlemagne was in there too. Then started giggling like idiots about how they're going to raid my stream and take lists of everybody. Sorry, raid my Discord and take lists of everybody who was on there. Not that that's particularly dangerous. It's just creepy. And considering at this point it was basically unprovoked, like I hadn't published that video chat at all. That was just ridiculous. It was weird too. Like they were saying, like I must keep an army of alts on my Discord server. It's like, first of all, I don't have an army of alts. I have an alt, and that alt happens to predate my current channel. I actually wasn't lying about that. That's true. This channel is not old. I made the Discord President Sunday for that because I made the channel. But I admittedly I don't use it as often anymore, just because everybody talks to me as President Sunday now. But I do have other Discords from before this. This is a new identity. But two things. First of all, if I did have an army of Discord alts, I wouldn't need to keep them on my server. In fact, it would behoove me to make them as distant from my President Sunday persona as much as possible. So basically, they were just taking down the information of well-meaning random people, mostly people in this audience, for no reason other than to spite me. And secondly, it's like...
Get in the car. We're going. Oh, they're all dead. Cortana's not happy. They're all dead, you idiots.
Well, it's okay.
Oh, red dude. Red dude.
Oh.
You didn't get the gun. Oh, you're dead.
Hang on.
What a life. Oh, you're not dead.
I am dead.
Amazing. Oh, no, you're dead. I'm going to just try. Oh, there you are. Jump in the gun.
Where are you? Anyways, I don't want to talk about that. It's just all pointless.
Oh, there's a red guy. Run him over. Ooh.
Oh my god, this lag. Why is this so bad? This is like a 12-year-old game.
I don't know. It's internet. It's I just killed you. It's the internet. It's not.
No. I think what it is apparently I read somewhere something to the effect that local, or not local, but private games that aren't sort of using the online matchmaker with Reach don't have a dedicated server. And so there's a lot of complaints about the lag just being horrible on co-op. So we'll have to find some alternative way to play a different game in future for streams, but damn shame.
Dead. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, they won't all be dead now.
Oh, I'm in the car again. That's cool.
Yeah.
We really were not being strategic here.
No. Well, I'm barely paying attention. I'm just kind of.
I know, me too. I'm like, yeah.
I'm so tired. I'm playing this game entirely passively, and I'm
me too. I'm not really. I'm kind of just seeing what happens. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die if I do that, aren't I? Oh, yeah.
Let's say we'll go for about 15 more minutes, and then we'll call it because I need to.
No, I do too. I do too.
Need a break.
Yeah.
The video chat that we were talking about, the video recording, you can find it on a channel called Chudlogic. CHUDLOGIC. I'll put a link in the description once this goes public, but that won't be till tomorrow because StreamYard is ridiculously slow. And I was on. I was talking with Ray and Chudlogic about that after the fact. I think he's going to publish that on Saturday, from what I'm told. You can watch it for yourself. It's just greasy and dumb. Oh my god, why is this so bad?
Yeah, it's bad for me too.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's call it for Halo, and let's just do a stream where we just chat with the audience for a bit. Sound good?
All right, let me just throw a grenade straight up in the air first. Nope, I don't have grenades. All right, let's cancel.
That's beautiful. All right, let's end this catastrophe. Yeah, so if anybody has questions about what's going on, I know this is kind of rambly. Just shoot. Let's see what you have to say about all this, or if you have any opinions or questions. Oh, Noah Watson asked something important.
All right.
Does the negativity of the audio clip depend on the severity of their meaning of harassment, as if it just means making response vids and tweets and it's not much of a problem? Practically, I agree. There are a couple of issues with this. The first is that there's a complete unwillingness. Well, I mean, A, they didn't differentiate in the stream, in the recording. So, because they were talking about basically approaching people in bad faith and misrepresenting themselves in admittedly very indirect ways, it's really hard to trust when they say that no, they didn't mean harass in any sort of mean sense. And judging from what I've seen of their conduct towards Shruggie and towards a few other people who sort of fall into the unfavored group with them, or unfavored among them, they mean harass in the strong sense. Now, I don't know if that means that they go to her house in the middle of the night. I highly doubt that. I think what it means is they would basically just spam her Twitter account or things like that. Which, here's the thing. AstroTurfing doesn't cause physical damage in the obvious sense. But if the goal is to also mentally batter this person, that's not okay either. That's still cruel. And in the service of what?
So I think there's just a lot of petty scheming because it's fun. I think it's just like
but I think Watson has a point. I mean, a lot does hinge on what we think they mean by harassment, but I think it's important to note that they use the word harassment to begin with, and Closington would not condemn the distributist use of that word. That's really strange. And here's the thing, right? Like, if they didn't mean harassment in a strong sense, then why on earth did the distributist go after Closington walked back on saying harassment? And he said, well, not harassment. Why did he say then, no, harass is good? Or harass her for it, just to push him back to the word harass. Why was it important to be located back on the word harass?
Oh, I know why our stream started sucking. My laptop was not connected to the power, so it was on battery, so
it's your fault.
It got throttled.
This will be the last Shruggie stream, I assure you all. No.
People don't want that. Dude, look at our dislike ratio. That's amazing. That's beautiful. I think I'll dislike it myself. Yeah. It's 8-2.
82? What? Let's take a look. Hang on. I gotta see this.
Hey, we just got an upvote right when I said that. That's nice. We got another one. Wow.
No, it's 8-4.
You guys are the best.
Oh, no. I thought you said 82.
You guys are the best audience. I'm sorry for slamming those guys. I'm just being candid. Yeah. Okay, let's get the questions. All the questions. I'm sure we.
Yes, just conceded that what was said was okay, except that he is a mind reader, so knows it's a strong harass. No, what they said was not okay. You have to tell a very uncompelling story in order to make it sound okay. I don't believe that they didn't mean harass in the strong sense, and they used the word harass, and it is perfectly appropriate to assume the strong sense, since there isn't really a light sense of harass, is there? Especially since, again, they emphasize no harass. Closington, to his credit again, was walking back from that. He was saying no, not harass. And then the distributist with the much larger following, who's the head honcho in that group, regardless of whether or not it's Endeavor's server. Endeavor wasn't even in that conversation. The distributist went and said no harass. That's the word we want.
Look at the likes and dislikes. As soon as I drew attention to it, a bunch of people liked it, and then a bunch of people disliked it.
Who cares?
No. It's entertaining. It's real time.
Yeah,
our actions have consequences, and that's fun.
I just wish these guys would kind of realize that, again, as Ray was pointing out earlier, guys, likes count as engagement. You are helping my channel. Make my day. Dislike it to the ground, please.
I just feel really connected.
Burn it.
Like there are all these people.
The dislike went down. The dislike went down. They're learning.
There are all these people in the world who I'm connected to right now. That's beautiful.
Oh, it went back up again. See that reverse psychology there?
Somebody's just like spamming the upvote, downvote, upvote.
Well, they can only do it once.
Just to screw with us.
No, they're at 12 now. They're doing it legitimately.
No, that's fun.
Yeah.
All right, I think there are a lot of question marks in here. Why don't we
Okay.
try to?
Well, you feel free to pick some out if you want.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll way up. All right, let's see.
Yeah, we're gonna start from higher up and go down because we've been playing Halo badly and ignoring you guys. So very sorry about that.
All right, let's see here. Wait, is Shruggie not a gamer? Not really. I mean, so when I play games, I play them to death. That's why I like playing Halo, is because I'm good at it, because I played it to death. But I pick up a game every like 3 years. Or, not 3 years, but like, what are some other games I played? And when I play Halo, I don't even play multiplayer really. I like the campaigns and the things I like about them. I don't know. I like the exploration aspect of it. I guess the skill, aspect is kind of fun recently for some reason. I don't know. That lizard part of my brain has become more activated lately, but I don't know. I like sort of kind of exploration adventure type games. I mean, in an alternate timeline, Sunday and I are making games. We actually almost thought of doing that before we got really intense with academics. We even like made a few little prototypes. You can kind of run around and explore things. There's this one sort of cavern level where there's this big spider that drops down. We had like a 3D platformer. Good times. But
nothing moved, mind you. But
no. We got the spider to sort of like move down the hallway.
We should make it sort of kind of move a little bit, like up and down.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not. I mean, but okay. Lately, I've been playing Halo. Just it's partly nostalgia. It's partly because I impulse bought it when I saw that like
I think it's entirely
all coming to PC. Sorry.
I think it's mostly nostalgia. It's also just a really positive, like emotionally game. Like it kind of does for you what Lord of the Rings does. Kind of rejuvenates you a bit. It's just something about that aesthetic, the sort of semi-seriousness of it.
Yeah. All right, what's going on here? Why are all the smart people on the opposite side of us? What side is that spoken?
Who said that?
Anonymous user.
Oh.
Are they talking about? Are they on the opposite side of us?
What you're talking about?
We on the opposite. Sorry.
I'm
Anonymous user. Explain yourself. All right. What else is going on here?
LARPing at Life says, I think you're being deliberately obtuse, President Sunday. This has all been a big nothing, and my disappointment is immeasurable. Well, nonetheless, LARPing at Life, you will never know unless you try. I want you to start measuring that now, and then come back.
I think he gets points for saying my disappointment is immeasurable.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
That's going to end every single stream from now on.
Instead of, that'll just be your new sign off.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got here? Would you agree that in this age of identity, it's always been this is DD, it's always been in human nature to be tribalistic? It seems like up until now, it's been reawakened in a modern 21st century way. It's certainly, I mean, I think it's a human nature thing to be tribalistic. I think that a lot of problems that are bubbling up now are like, I mean, it's one part just demographic changes. Political philosophy is not my main area, but I did take a graduate seminar in toleration, and one week the readings were on kind of just the kinds of clashes that happen as a kind of ascendant minority group starts to become more visible. Their numbers start to be so it's one thing when the demographics are like so there's one sort of main group, and then there's like a few people, a few foreigners who have kind of set up camp there, and that doesn't really stress anybody out that much. There might be some instances of prejudice, but it's not really, I don't know, it's not like we're not talking like lynching or anything. Like we're just people can kind of coexist in that way, or at least the majority feels like they can coexist in that way. There's no felt tension, right? But when there's a minority group that starts to grow, and they start to grow to a significant enough degree that they start having a kind of collective consciousness and they want to start advocating for their interests, then that's when the majority group starts to really feel bristled, right? Because now they feel there's an element of threat that goes on here. And so a lot of that's happening with the demographic changes because, I mean, like there is a lot of immigration into Western countries right now from non-Western places. And, so a lot of people are feeling the kinds of anxieties that come with having this growing, increasingly vocal minority group that, has cultures and customs that are different from theirs and which they might consider barbaric in some ways. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is that, I don't know, I feel like because we have social media, I don't know. Okay, now I'm just tired and I'm running out of steam.
That's fine.
But you said, why is it being reawakened in a modern 21st century way? Well, I guess it's easier to really, I guess there are more of us with time to like mull over these things, and we could go on the internet and find our little sub communities. And yeah, Sunday, do you want to say something since I'm running out of steam?
I completely lost your track there. I have no interest in that subject, judging from what I heard. No, I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I'm sorry, I zoned out a bit. I'm so tired. What else we got here? Koba Jugashvili, I hope I got your name right. I like you way better than Distributus, thank you. Who is obviously a closeted gay fitting for a Catholic, but I tend to think you're being a bit hard on him. He's not a leader. Okay, that's not really a question, but I guess I'll address that. Cause, I don't think the Distributus is a closeted gay. I think it's a bit below the belt. I think the Distributus is a...
It's also like, who would care?
who would care first? Yeah, fine. I'm super tired. Who would care, first of all? But also, I don't think he is. He has a family. He's clearly straight. I don't know why we'd bring this up. I don't know why this would be fitting for a Catholic. He's not a priest or anything like that. Not that priests are... I'm just on fire tonight.
Yeah.
Long story short, no, he's not a leader. He's definitely not fit to be a leader. He's definitely not a leader of anything important. He does, however, he does, however, sort of semi-launch small channels. And as a result of launching those small channels, he makes a lot of these young people feel sort of indebted to him, or like they have to be loyal. And I don't know to the extent to which that pressure actually manifests in their actual positions, but again, long story short, he threw Closington to the wolves tonight. Without me there, it would have been a nightmare, bluntly, because at the very least, I was yelling at him about what he was bringing up in the conversation. I pity the person who has to have that debate with Hera for an hour and a half. Yeah.
I see a good question.
Which one?
Lily Voidtooth. And I mean, we have a whole stream on this coming up on Sunday. But the question is, one thing I would like to ask are, what are your thoughts on the utilization of anthropology, psychology, and general behavioral sciences in political theory? And that's addressed to you specifically.
I think they're all extremely important. Political science, and I mean, there are a lot of problems with sort of treating political science as a single holistic thing, as a single unified thing from the present back to Aristotle. But how Aristotle characterized episteme politikon was an architectonic science. So the idea is, this is a science that relies upon aggregated findings from different fields, because you're dealing with organization, you're dealing with trade, you're dealing with defense, you're dealing with education. Education is huge, and education already entails proficiency in a whole host of domains. So I mean, I think they're absolutely essential. I think you get into trouble when you start substituting one of those for political science. And so you'll see like certain sociologists or economists trying to substitute an economic or a sociological theory for a theory of society generally, and I think that's very dangerous. I actually think this is sort of one of my critiques of a lot of Marxist philosophers, because they a lot of them, not most of them, just a lot of them, a lot of Marxist philosophers, because they overstress the material over decision, and over certain exigencies of history that are not inevitable. So obviously, dialectical materialism is the thesis that, well, I don't want to butcher this, but you get it. Like there is a process of different historical forces encountering each other or having a relationship with each other, and then concluding with some new amalgamation of the two, and then some new friction emerges, and you have this trajectory of development over time. And so you move from like feudalism to capitalism or what have you. I haven't read a lot of Marx. I really shouldn't be speaking to this at all. But I'm tired, and we were just playing an awful game of Halo, so I'm going to cut myself some slack. But yeah, long story short, very important. You need to really study them all. I haven't studied them all. I've studied a smattering in most of those, but I definitely need to study more. I probably won't be a fully competent political scientist until I'm in my 40s, to be totally honest. So, like, yeah, just Socrates has this great quote in is it the Republic? I think it's the Republic, and he says, "He who is selective in his reading," it might not be the Republic, but he says, anyways, "He who is selective in his reading, let us not call him a lover of knowledge." At an early stage in your development, definitely before you're at least middle-aged, you don't know what you don't know. By which I mean, like, there are things people will point you to that may bore you right out the gate that are nonetheless extremely important to your education. And because you haven't been educated yet, you don't know that yet. Like, one of the most influential books on me over the last year was a book by Radhika Mongia called Indian Migration and Empire. Terribly boring title. Extremely important subject. She actually lays out the specific historical moments that lead to the emergence of our particular understanding of the modern state and its borders. Very important. I'm actually doing a video on that right now. During the course I took, I was incredibly stressed out. My father had just died, and I was just incredibly overworked and tired. But I neglected to read it thoroughly. I only read like one chapter of it, and I got enough to know that it was important, but I'm only fully reading it this year, and I'm getting so much out of it. And I would have profited so much from taking it seriously at the time. So read widely. And I mean, like, you have to use your judgment, of course. There are things that will waste your time. Cranks love to write really long books. You can spend years reading L. Ron Hubbard. I don't recommend it. But don't be prejudiced against certain writers. Certainly not writers who have a big effect. Marx in particular, I'm not a Marxist. Marx is extremely important. If you want a short introduction to his writings, one that isn't obnoxious to someone who isn't interested in economics, read the 18th Brumaire of Napoleon Bonaparte. It's really interesting. You'll actually get a lot from it. I have made use of it for years in my papers. So at the very least, it will help you appear better read to a professor if you happen to find yourself in a political science class. What else we got here? Any more questions? You answered the one about demographic changes, right?
I think I answered a question that was not that question, but that is what.
What do you guys think of the demographic change? Okay, I'll answer this then. So Noah Watson asks, what do you guys think of the demographic changes and the long-term effects of this? I think a lot about it. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it per se. It's I mainly have an issue with how it's being done more than that it's being done. I'm not of the belief that culture is downstream from genes per se. When you look at the actual history of our institutions and the particular form of life that dominates in world politics today and in the so-called Western democracy, or just the West generally, you see a very narrow set of moments in history. And when I say moments, by the way, what I mean is a particular point before which a thing isn't the case and after which a thing is the case. So there's a long string of particular moments in the history of the emergence of Western culture before which a lot of the institutional things we take for granted are simply unthinkable. By which I mean not that the human mind is incapable of imagining something like that, but that there are no triggers in the environment force someone to think that, and thus when we look at the literature that comes down to us from there are no references to it. So for people to actually start thinking in those terms spontaneously would make no sense. A good example of this is the idea of politics itself. So the polis, of course, the word comes from the Greek, and it refers to a fortress in its oldest sense. So when you talk about the Acropolis, acro, height, is in a mountain, polis, fortress. The castle, basically, at the very center of Athens, the Acropolis, that is preserving the oldest sense of the word polis. And until and it's weird to say recently because we're talking about thousands of years ago, but human society is very old. It's much older than that. Look up the age of the pyramids. Civilization is old. It's older than history. For a long time, people didn't regard the polis as a community. So, for example, Aristotle, when he in Book 3 of the Politics, he writes, the polis is a certain aggregate of citizens. Well, that's a weird way to describe a fortress, isn't it? What happened was, because as a result of a series of political reforms in Athens, more and more people got the franchise, and as a result, people came to associate a certain form of life, of involvement in politics, of involvement in the deliberations of their community with the polis itself. So obviously they held the assembly in the polis. And as a result of everybody having the franchise and sort of these class divisions breaking down, people identified with the polis, with being a part of the polis, more than with their tribal affiliations. And so you have the emergence of this concept of the political in its oldest sense, distinct from the bare idea of the fortress wall. And Carl Schmitt brings back the idea of the fortress when he says that the site of the political is the site of the division between friend and foe. Well, what's a fortress wall? It's the quintessential division between friend and foe. And that's one of the reasons why he's so fascinating, because he was so perceptive that he actually hit on this despite not having this history. But yeah, so again, like people will say things like, well, politics is always like this. No, it's not. Politics is recent. We haven't always had politics. We've always had conflict. We've always had a need for survival, yada, yada, yada. But the particular form of life that politics represents, very recent in human history, and it doesn't have a lot of strict rules about it. So where was I going with this? Right, demographic changes. So yeah, long story short, culture isn't downstream from genes. So with respect to
that's
what do I think? Yeah.
crazy.
So what I think about culture isn't. That's what I said, right? I said isn't.
Culture is down. Who came up with that?
Culture is
that's
not.
Like that's a meme. Culture is downstream from genes.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay. So, anyways, long story short,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the person who said that. That was me.
Just shut up for a second, Shruggie. No one wants to hear you. No. Yeah. It's that kind of stream now.
Maybe Sunday is a jerk.
Maybe. I've had too much to drink tonight. But anyways, where was I going with this? Right, demographic changes. So I don't think demographic change in and of itself is destructive of culture. I think breaking faith with your community by forcing demographic change in the particular way that has been done, and we need to be particular about where we're talking about here. So when you talk about bringing in thousands and thousands of immigrants into Europe, for example, as a result of catastrophes in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe and other places, there were different ways they could go about this. What they decided to do was let them all come in, fine, and then abuse people in their countries, abuse the citizens of the countries that were letting them in, who aired concerns or complaints. And what that did was that broke faith with basically all institutional authorities and all media institutions, what have you, and it caused the proliferation of crackpot right-wing movements. And not all right-wing movements are crackpot, but the proliferation of crackpot right-wing movements, just because all traditional authority, or what little of it remained, or all established authority of any kind, was broken down and nobody could trust anybody. So all of a sudden people are going, well, hey, maybe all of these people, if these guys were disparaging, maybe they had a point. Well, it's also possible for everybody to be wrong. But that wasn't the way to go about it. Here's what they could have done. What they could have done was do exactly the same thing, let them all in, And then when there were complaints and there were problems, address them. And when they address them hard, first of all, with money and police and everything you can. And when that failed, don't you dare abuse the people who are complaining about it. Like what they should have been doing is treating them basically like martyrs and heroes for putting up with this. Now, granted, that's hyperbolic, but they should have shown some kind of deference. So,
Can I address the thing?
Please.
Noah Watson says the societal effect, given the lack of the desire to integrate people, will mean that culture might as well be a product of genes in terms of the long-term effects.
Well,
yeah. So the thing is, it's not the genes, right? Like, you could have different genes if you were raised in a different culture. You're going to bring that culture when you immigrate, right? And you're going to raise your kids according to the norms that you were raised in, because that's what people do.
Well, hang on a sec. I don't think that's what he's talking about, though. He's saying the societal effect. So I think what he's saying is that given the lack of the desire to integrate people, the culture may as well be a product of genes, because bringing in all of these people will cause a shift in the culture of a society, just because of
but you're bringing culture. You're bringing a different culture. You're
not talking about bringing culture.
Culture is the operative part, the causal part.
That's what multicultural. Well, slow down a second. Let me just respond to this quickly. He has his finger on something. So it is true that if you bring in a bunch of new people with a different culture, the culture that is already there will change as a result. It will have contacts that weren't there before, and the same thing will happen to the people who come who are new, and that can sometimes not be a good thing. That's not generically a good thing that happens. It's not inherently a bad thing either, and it can often be very educational, but it is something to keep in mind. It is something that can be dangerous if it's done thoughtlessly, and I think in a lot of cases it has been done thoughtlessly. I think that the efforts made to integrate people were weak. I think that because of a low faith society, the example of the people who were already in those cultures was very weak as to whether or not, as to how seriously they should take the efforts of government and whatnot to integrate people into their societies. Bluntly, these things just need to be done carefully. There's nothing else to be said for it. And that said, it should be a pragmatic decision. I don't agree with these people who say that as a matter of course you have to have open borders. Here's something interesting. This is why borders emerged in the first place. So liberal philosophy, in its earliest inception, often requires the ability of subjects to relocate from the domain of their sovereign and to pick the domain of a different sovereign who will have them. That's why at the ending of, so what happened was, well, why did this end up not being the case? Obviously, we're in a liberal situation. Carl Schmitt even called the modern state the liberal state because of how endemic liberalism is in modern politics. So what happened? Well, at the ending of slavery, at the abolition by Britain of slavery, the demand for slave labor didn't disappear. So what do? Well, there was a transition period. Slaves were turned into indentured workers for a brief period of time, after which they would be emancipated. And during that period of time, which was I think like a couple of years, or it might have been a year, I can't remember, I have to go back and look. But for a period of time, they had to scramble and find labor. And what was their solution? Well, Britain at the time ruled over India. So Indians were British subjects. So this is what they could do. This is what they did. We'll bring over a bunch of indentured Indian labor. A lot of it, mind you, this has to replace the entire slave population. And we'll use that instead. Here's the problem. In the process of doing that, people were lying to Indian migrants about the prospects for work. They were putting them into abusive conditions. There was a lot of intimidation and coercion as to whether or not they complained about conditions, or whether or not they went, or what have you, or about the safety of their families, things like that. There were a lot of shady things going on. So liberals who were very worried about this critiqued the use of indentured labor on the grounds that it was basically just slavery by a different name. And so there were there were some basically studies made. Some scholars got together, or some experts got together, and they figured out how can we solve this. And if I remember correctly, I think it's called the Dickens Report, that recommended wholly against allowing Indian migration entirely, for Indian labor migration entirely. And this was itself contradicted by liberals who were like, well, this is against the principle of free movement or something approximating there too. And so eventually what happened was, okay, this is what the British government did, and the Canadian government as well. We will allow you to take in indentured Indian migrants, but we will require them to be vetted by a court that we can ascertain that they've signed their name freely and of their own volition, which I guess means the same thing, and things like that. And so you have the invention of the passport system, basically. And from then on, you have closed borders. It's the first time it's ever happened in human history that borders were closed to the average person during peacetime in the West. Where was I going with this?
I don't know.
Where did I start?
Somebody asked something about
Integration, no, a little bit higher.
right. No, the whole thing was about
Cycle
whether
effect.
culture was a product of genes, and I
Right.
said no, and you pushed back and started talking about Indian,
I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Basically, I mean, Watson's not wrong to point out that this is a thing that can happen. I don't know.
No, but that's not the whole point. Is this a product of genes?
He didn't say it's a product.
It's that Eddie.
No.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't. He said the societal effect will mean that culture might as well be a product of genes in terms of the long-term effects. And he's not necessarily wrong in terms of the scale of effects of multiculturalism. We don't actually know what the long-term effects are going to be because it's not very old, but they will be big. I don't know what
there will be a large effect, but it's not. But the critical claim there is that it's a product of genes.
He's not saying it's a product of genes. He's saying it may as
yes,
well.
Yes, he is. It's right there. Will mean that culture might as well be a product of genes.
Might as well be. He's not saying it's a product of genes. And now I disagree with the statement it might as well be because I think it's probably inaccurate. I don't know if that actually entails a situation. I don't know what it would actually look like if culture was a product of genes per se. But the statement he's making is not saying that it is a product of genes in this particular sentence. He's just not. He's saying it might as well be. That's an equivocation, but he's not saying it's yeah. He's not saying it's a product of genes. If he is saying it's a product of genes, he's wrong. I mean, flat out. But I didn't read him as saying that. What else we got here? Speaking. Oh, here we go. Here's a question. Maybe you can answer this one. Speaking as quote unquote minority, what eventually happens is that their culture eventually gets replaced. Oh, it's not a question. I'll just read it anyways. That their culture eventually gets replaced, and the only thing that is left is certain symbols like a flag or a piece of food or a cultural religion. Yeah, so Noah Watson clarifies, I'm not saying it is genes, I'm just saying the effect will be as if it is, if integration isn't attempted. I mean, in terms of there being, in terms of a fracturing of society that sort of corresponds to ethnic groups, I mean, he's probably not wrong there in the short term. That's assuming that maintains over a long period of time. I don't think that necessarily would happen, but I mean, who knows? So I mean, like it's possible. That's all I can say to that.
Right, but the point is, it's rooted in the fact that the people who are immigrating have been raised with different cultural. They have a different cultural identity. They have different cultural practices, different senses.
Yeah, he gets that.
That's the thing.
But listen to me. I'm just going to read this out to you. I am not saying it is genes. I'm just saying the effect will be as if it is. Here's why this is how I read that. Here's why it will be as if it is. Because what you will end up having is cultural distinctions that trace ethnic boundaries specifically, because the people from different places aren't integrating. So what you end up with is you have people of different ethnicities being culturally homogeneous with people of different of their ethnicity in both ways. So he's not wrong if the situation he's describing obtains. But
right,
again,
okay.
I'm not saying it, that's all. I just don't want him to be. I don't want Noah Watson to be misrepresented.
Yeah, okay. I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Otherwise, I agree with you completely. Can we find any more questions?
I think we're both pretty zonked.
I'm so tired. Well, let's do two more, and then we'll call it a night.
Are there two more?
I have no idea. If there aren't two more, you guys feel free to ask two more, and maybe we'll pick you.
Yes. I'm just looking for question marks. That one is to somebody else in the chat.
Oh, here we go. Here's one.
New
Lily
one.
Voitooth asks, President Sunday, thoughts on Foucault? I saw you got the Order of Things. I have, but I've only read a couple of chapters. Foucault is a very interesting and a very difficult writer. My recommendation, if you want to get into Foucault, his lectures are published in book form, and they're very good, and they're much more accessible than his books, which are very, very dense, but very worth it, but very dense. I will say this about Foucault. He has some amazing insights. I'm a little bit skeptical sometimes as to how he sources some of his claims. Not because I have a concrete reason to doubt them, but because he makes some very interesting claims about certain things, or some interesting observations that I haven't fully canvassed myself. But again, like, my reading of Foucault is fairly shallow. I've only read a bit of The Order of Things. I've read a bit of The History of Madness. I read his lectures on the government of self, which is very worthwhile, and it's one of the things that actually got me onto the whole ancient Greek track, as well as Hannah Arendt's The Human Condition. And yeah, definitely worth it. I'll have to get back to you on that once I've read more, basically. And
I have not read Foucault, so
no, but you should.
short answer. Yeah, there's so many things I should read. In fact, I'm currently. They're probably on my desk. Actually, I do have like 5 books by Foucault on my desk.
What? And you haven't given them?
No, they were being given away. They were just like
Oh, you
there
must
was
have got them recently, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Show me them later.
Sure. I think I sent you a picture. Like, it was
yeah, but
like
you didn't send me the Foucault ones. You sent me those weird textbooks.
No. Yeah, they still had like price tags on them, and they were like more than $20 each. So I was like, ooh. But
all right, I'm just gonna go through these quickly, so we can go to sleep. Do you play EU4 or any Paradox games? I very casually play Stellaris. I have tried to get into Victoria 2, but it is just brutally difficult. Other than that, not really. I have played BattleTech a little bit. That was kind of fun. Gianfranco Mikado asks, what do you think that the Western identities are in their last legs? I'm assuming he asks, do I think that Western identity or something like that is on their last legs? And you can please clarify if you want.
What's Western identity precisely?
Well, I mean, that's a good question.
Is there like a Western identity?
Yeah, it's underspecified. I mean, if what you mean is the proliferation of people identifying as Western, if that's on his last legs, I don't know. It seems pretty strong to me. Here's one of the things to keep in mind is, like, just because a lot of people are scared that something is disappearing doesn't mean it's disappearing. In fact, sometimes that's a sign of it being very strong, because that means that there's a large sort of there's that sort of reserve of people who hold that as an identity very powerfully, such that they can have that reaction and organize around it. And certainly a lot of people are not very strong on their identity as being Western, such that they'll adopt like a reactionary stance to protect it. Like, maybe they're just kind of passively confident about it. They don't care, which is fine. Like, I don't have a strong identity as a Western individual, although in terms of how many people would define that word, I very much am. Yeah, no, I don't think Western identities are on their last legs. I think they're doing pretty well. I think they're constantly in flux and they're changing radically. And I don't see the tradition of what we call like the Western canon, let's say, being embodied by a lot of these reactionary types who claim to be fighting for the salvation or the future of the West or its progeny or things like that. I don't see that coming out at all. But no, I don't think Western identity is on its last legs. I think it's just going to undergo more and more change, like everything else. What is your stance on what comes after postmodernism? I have no idea. I don't think anybody does. I think it's also part of postmodernism is that we can't really get out of it, because it's defined just by being after modernism. So I think we're always going to be in a postmodern condition where we don't trust sort of the naive, optimistic, all-encompassing narratives of modernity and the Enlightenment, things like that, whatever you want to call it.
Modernism also sounds like something that, how would you ever get out of modernism? It's like, but...
Well, I mean, the word modernism just comes from the word for the present. The difference is that they're sort of embedded in that.
Keeps being there.
Well, there's embedded in the idea of modernity kind of this, I don't want to say naive because that sounds condescending, but this optimism that now is more forward than what came before. Like this is the now as opposed to the then. So I mean, postmodern just means, well, we don't think like that anymore. We're scrutinizing the things that informed our view of history as progressive in one direction, things like that. What nationality am I? I am Canadian, whatever that means. Did we say 2 questions? Let's do 2 more. Very sorry for anyone we didn't get questions answered. We're exhausted.
Yeah, I'm gonna faint.
President Sunday, have you read any neo-Thomist thoughts? I don't know. I read a bit of Leibniz.
Neo-Thomist? Not. Who's a neo-Thomist?
I don't know. Do I play Age of Empires 2 or any other AoE titles? Yes, in fact, I just bought Age of Empires 2 Remastered, and it's really good. Have you read Jacques Ellul? No, I have not. Do you like the Metal Gear Solid series? I'm not a fan, honestly. It's too absurdist for me, but it also takes too long to play. Right. Shruggie, let's end this. Let's end this madness. I think that's all the questions.
All right.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. Well, thank you very much for watching this absolute gong show.
Yeah. Thanks, chat. That was lively.
Thank you for your questions.
When we started paying attention to you. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Anyways, so I will eventually get that second part of the nationalism video done. I am so tired from this tonight. I don't know if I'm going to get this done tomorrow. If I'm going to get it done by the end of tomorrow, but I will attempt to make some headway to it. I will definitely have it out before the end of next week. Thank you very much for listening and take care.
Enjoy your lives.
Cherish the small things.